Hi, I'm Kwesi Baye, and you're with Montclair Amherst, a digital consultancy dedicated to helping clients thrive. Whether you're a small business or an individual who is working on improving their life, Montclair Amherst has something for you. So, today I wanted to talk about something important: the highest and lowest tax jurisdictions in America. Why do I want to talk about it? Essentially, if you live in a lower tax place, you keep more money in your pocket, you have more freedom to do with what you want with your money, and you have more capabilities to resolve any situations where you are. So, choosing a tax-friendly jurisdiction is important for your financial goals. That being said, let's go get into it. Let's get into the highest and lowest tax jurisdictions in America. So, there are many types of taxes. And the main advantage wealthy people have are that they have an army of tax lawyers. And what type of taxes do they pay? They pay income taxes, capital gain taxes, property taxes. These are the critical taxes that the wealthy pay. And these taxes are very impactful on what type of opportunities they have to reduce their taxes. Generally in America, if you have a W-2 income, you're not going to have a lot of deductions. There's only a limited amount of ways to reduce your tax. And unfortunately, you will have to pay a lot of taxes. So whether you're a highly compensated doctor, lawyer, accountant, CEO, you're going to pay a lot in taxes unless you get most of your wealth in investments. So if you're moderately rich, but you're not rich enough to hire a tax lawyer, like the billionaires, you're going to be paying a lot of taxes. Sometimes 50% in some cases when you're earning $1 million. But I want to talk about the moderately rich, those earning $500,000 a year. If you earn $500,000 a year, you are likely paying a lot in taxes because you can't afford proper tax planning, treatment. Well, you can afford it, but you're going to pay that equivalent amount in tax. So, multiple states have advantages and disadvantages, but I'll give the top 5 most tax states and the bottom 5 tax states for the tax year 2025 and 2024. I use Smart Asset for my sources for top 5 tax states, and then for the bottom 5 tax states, I use a source called Tax Foundation, which talks about tax competitiveness. Number 1 on my most tax jurisdictions, New York City. New York City is an expensive place to live. New York State is expensive, but New York City is especially expensive. It's one of the most, if not the most, expensive cities in the world. Property taxes are roughly 1.925%, almost 2%. That's an equivalent of losing 2% in your property value a year. So you're losing a lot of money although it's a high appreciation area in New York City County, you're losing roughly 2% a year if you're living in it or keeping it empty. So you have to focus on either improving your property values or selling it at a profit in order to break even. Often, a lot of New Yorkers rent. New York has a significant sales tax. It's higher in New York City than the rest of the state, but to be honest, it's middle of the road in terms of sales tax in comparison to other jurisdictions around the United States. There's also many excise taxes, which makes New York City one of the most highly taxed jurisdictions in the world. Your total tax rate, assuming all of your income is from W-2, assuming you earn $500,000, your total tax rate is 42.18%. The next highly taxed place is Hawaii. Hawaii is known for its beaches, its lush landscape, its resorts. There's a lot of stuff happening in Hawaii. However, Hawaii has been dominated by Democratic politics, which was different from its early stage in independence, where it was a more conservative-leaning state. It has a high gross receipts tax, which is passed on to the consumer. It has high income taxes, on par with New York. And property taxes are roughly similar to what is paid in other states, because property values are so high there that even though property tax rates are lower, it's more expensive. However, if you like the island environment and friendly people, it's a good place for you. You might be able to ignore all of the taxes and all of the harsh cost of living that comes with living in Hawaii. Your total tax rate in Hawaii is 41.05%. Next, California, or California Republic. I like its bear flag. It's very unique. It shows that California has some bones and some strong it has some strong symbolism. California is very unique. It's one of the most sunny, perfect weather states all the time. It has beaches, it has high taxes, it has a nice environment, but the rich pay more than their fair share. California has high income taxes, high corporate taxes, and high property taxes. Due to Democratic dominance, taxes are more likely to go up than down. Your total tax rate in California is 41.03%. Next, the District of Columbia. The capital of the United States has no representation in Congress. DC is the seat of American government. It has a lot of job opportunities related to government jobs, government contracting jobs, and work with federal legislators and local legislators, lobbying groups. It's a lawyers, accountants, defense contractors' best dream. However, the jurisdiction is highly taxed, and it has a high cost of living. Combined with a high cost of living and high taxation, DC residents are feeling squeezed. No taxation without representation was the cry of the 13 colonies. Yet Washington, D.C. has no representation, yet has to pay federal taxes as well. So your total tax burden in D.C. is 40.42%. Next, Vermont. Vermont is a beautiful state. It has a lot of history behind it. It used to be part of New York and New Hampshire, but it tried to declare independence shortly during the Revolutionary War, was able to join the Union after the ascent of New York State in dealing with its property claims. And essentially this place is a unique location. It's the first state that's outside of the original 13 colonies to be accepted in the Union. It's the 14th state in the Union, and it's very unique. Things it's known for: beautiful mountains, maple syrup, and amazing scenery. It's a highly taxed state, but it's not as high as a New York or Hawaii or California. But it's still highly taxed. If you're earning $500K, and for all of these tax rates, I'm assuming you earn $500K, your tax rate will be 39.51%. So, quite expensive. Here are the least taxed jurisdictions. So, if you live in a territory like the U.S. Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico, and you own your own business, because they're trying to incentivize investment, you can reduce your taxes drastically. Up to 90% of your taxes will be eliminated by moving to one of these places. However, we're assuming you have a W-2 income. So these states might not be the best options for that, excluding the U.S. Virgin Islands, which may be a top jurisdiction, but there's some disadvantages to it as well due to lack of amenities and certain factors. But I used Tax Foundation to show the best jurisdictions within the U.S. for this list. The U.S. Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico aren't part of this, but it could be competitive depending on how you view certain things and how you view how much in tax you pay depending on your W-2 income. There's a certain amount of deductions, but I assume you are no deductions. So here are the tax competitive places. The most tax competitive place, according to the U.S. Tax Foundation, is Wyoming. Wyoming is known for Yellowstone National Park. It has certain things, history, like being one of the most egalitarian states by being the first state and territory to allow women to vote. Wyoming has a lot to offer. It was a stop on the trail to Oregon and a trail to California for the California Gold Rush. And there's certain history behind Wyoming that's very unique. Because of Yellowstone National Park, it has a very big conservationist sort of ethos. There's several key advantages to Wyoming. There's no state nor corporate tax here. Property taxes are among the lowest in the country, and being a resident of Wyoming is a unique state because it's not a highly populated state. You have a lot of land. You have a lot of potential to do different things. Next, South Dakota, number 2 on our list. South Dakota has Mount Rushmore and the Crazy Horse Memorial. It has a high Native American population, and it's known for agriculture, manufacturing, and nature. It has bison. It's an excellent place to make your residence. South Dakota doesn't have a state or corporate income tax, just like Wyoming. It doesn't have a uniform property tax because it depends on the municipality. But average property taxes are a moderately expensive 1%. It's not as high as New York. Sales tax depends on municipality, and it's a combination between state and local. But state, it's higher. Sales taxes are actually higher than New York, but because you're saving so much on income taxes as someone earning $500,000, you are far ahead. Third on our list, Alaska. Fishing, glaciers, mountain, and snow. There's also auroras. those northern lights. Alaska is also an interesting fact. It's also the largest state by landmass in the Union. It's close to the Arctic Circle, and then you can do many adventures in the northern part of Alaska. Cost of living is relatively high compared to wages, but if you're willing to brave the harsh environment, you get a generous tax environment with no state income nor sales tax. Next, Florida. Florida is known for this funny joke called Florida Man. It's this thing where you have these, unhinged people who do some wild things, like, they would say Florida Man fights with a bear, or Florida Man wrestles an alligator. Another thing, Florida is also known for having alligators in the Everglades. There's also some good things, like Disney, famous cities like Miami and Fort Lauderdale. It's a unique place because it could be considered, instead of a southern state, it could be considered more of a Latin America state, the gateway to South America. Miami is heavily known for its Latin American population. It's very hot and humid in the summers, and you will have to brave hurricane season if you live there full time. But its beaches, its culture, and economics opportunities are first rate. 0 personal income taxes, 0 estate tax, but there are sales, corporate, and property taxes. Lastly, Montana. Montana is a tax competitive state, but it imposes certain taxes. It collects taxes in a 2-tiered system, roughly 5.9% at its top marginal rate. Much less than New York, but it's still pretty taxed compared to a Florida or Wyoming. Montana, one advantage of Montana is that Montana doesn't have a sales tax, but some municipalities have a resort tax due to its unique natural events, its very good scenery, and its interesting location. Montana is a beautiful state, and I think you'll like it a lot. So, what do you think? Which jurisdictions in the U.S. do you think are most competitive for a W-2 worker earning $500,000? Comment in the comment section, like and subscribe, and watch our related YouTube videos. Follow us on our social media pages, and I'm signing out. Kwesi Baye with Montclair Amherst.